What if I told you that thousands of years ago, entire civilizations believed that drilling holes in people's skulls could cure headaches? Or that some cultures thought the best way to honor the dead was to eat them? Today, we're diving deep into 7 of the most bizarre ancient rituals that weren't just practiced by a few eccentric individuals, but were completely normal parts of everyday life. Some of these will shock you, others might make you grateful you weren't born a few thousand years earlier. And trust me, number 4 on this list involves something so disturbing that archaeologists initially refused to believe the evidence. Let's begin. Ritual 1. Trepanation, the ancient brain surgery. Picture this, you have a splitting headache in ancient Peru, around 1000 BC. Your local healer's solution? Let's drill a hole in your skull. Trepanation was the practice of boring holes into the human skull while the patient was still alive. And here's the shocking part, it worked. Well, sort of. Archaeological evidence shows that many patients actually survived this procedure. Skulls found in Peru show clear signs of healing around the holes, meaning people lived for years afterward. The Incas became so skilled at this that they achieved survival rates of up to 90%, better than many Civil War surgeries. But why would anyone voluntarily have their skull punctured? Ancient peoples believed it could cure everything from headaches and epilepsy to mental illness and spiritual possession. They thought evil spirits lived in the head, and creating an escape route would solve the problem. The most unsettling part? Some skulls show evidence of multiple trepanations on the same person. Imagine going back for seconds. The practice was so widespread that evidence has been found on every continent except Antarctica. Makes you appreciate modern medicine, doesn't it? Ritual 2. Endocannibalism, eating your loved ones. Now, before you stop watching, hear me out on this one. What I'm about to tell you wasn't done out of hunger or cruelty. It was done out of love. Among the 4 people of Papua New Guinea, when someone died, the family would consume the deceased's body as part of the funeral ritual. But this wasn't random cannibalism. It was deeply spiritual and carefully organized. Women and children ate the brain and nervous system, while men consumed the muscles. They believed that by eating their loved ones, they were keeping their spirits alive within the family. It was considered the most respectful way to handle death. The 4 people described the taste as similar to pork, but that's not the disturbing part. The disturbing part is what happened next. In the 1950s, researchers discovered that this practice was spreading a deadly brain disease called Kuru, also known as the laughing death. Victims would lose control of their emotions, laugh uncontrollably, and then die within a year. The disease was transmitted through consuming infected brain tissue, and it decimated the 4 population. Entire families were wiped out, not knowing that their most sacred ritual was killing them. When the practice finally stopped in the late 1950s, Kuru cases began to decline. But some cases continued to appear for decades afterward. The disease can incubate for over 50 years. The last known case was recorded in 2009. Ritual 3. Roman gladiator blood drinking. You think you know everything about Roman gladiators? Think again. While gladiators fought and died for entertainment, their blood became one of the most sought-after medicines in ancient Rome. Romans believed that gladiator blood could cure epilepsy and other ailments because it contained the warrior's strength and courage. Here's how it worked. The moment a gladiator died in the arena, vendors would rush in with cups to collect the warm blood. They'd sell it immediately to eager buyers who would drink it on the spot, believing that consuming it while still warm would maximize its potency. But it gets stranger. Some Romans would pay extra to drink the blood directly from the gladiator's wounds. The fresher, the better. This wasn't some underground practice, it was completely mainstream. Even wealthy patricians and respected citizens participated. Roman physician Pliny the Elder wrote extensively about the medicinal properties of gladiator blood, lending scientific credibility to the practice. The irony? Many of the gladiators whose blood was consumed were criminals or slaves who had been sentenced to death. Romans were literally drinking the life force of people they had condemned. Ritual 4. Sati, the widow's ultimate sacrifice. This is the disturbing ritual I mentioned earlier. In ancient and medieval India, there existed a practice so extreme that when British colonizers first witnessed it, they refused to believe their own eyes. They thought it was anti-British propaganda. Sati or sati was the practice of a widow throwing herself onto her deceased husband's funeral pyre to be burned alive alongside his body. But here's what makes it even more horrifying: it was often voluntary. These women believed that by burning themselves alive, they would be reunited with their husbands in the afterlife and would be blessed in their next reincarnation. Society reinforced this belief by treating women who performed sati as goddesses, while widows who chose to live were often ostracized, forbidden from remarrying, and forced into poverty. The ritual was elaborate and ceremonial. The widow would fast, give away her possessions, and often have her hands tied to prevent her from escaping the flames if she changed her mind. Drums would beat to drown out any screams. In some cases, if a woman tried to escape the fire, relatives would push her back in with bamboo poles. Historical records suggest that thousands of women died this way. In Bengal alone, over 8,000 cases were recorded between 1815 and 1828. The practice was eventually banned by the British in 1829, but illegal cases continued well into the 20th century. The last known case was in 1987, when 18-year-old Roop Kunwar was burned alive in Rajasthan. What's most chilling is that even today, some people in rural India still view sati as a noble sacrifice. Ritual 5. Aztec Flaying Ritual. Wearing human skin. The Aztecs were known for their brutal rituals, but this one stands out even among their most extreme practices. During the festival of Ziptotec, the Flayed Lord, Aztec priests would capture enemy warriors and skin them alive, but the ritual didn't end with death. It was just the beginning. After skinning the victims, priests would wear their skin like clothing for 20 days, believing this would ensure good harvests and fertility. The skin would gradually decay and fall off, symbolizing the renewal of life, like a snake shedding its skin or corn husking. The most disturbing detail? The priests would often wear the victims' faces as masks, with their own faces visible through the eye holes. Archaeological evidence from the Templo Mayor in Mexico City has revealed thousands of skulls and bones from these rituals. Spanish conquistador accounts describe seeing priests walking around wearing rotting human skin, with maggots falling from their clothes. But to the Aztecs, this wasn't barbaric, it was deeply spiritual. They believed Ziptotec had flayed himself to give food to humanity, so they were reenacting the god's sacrifice. The smell alone must have been unbearable, but participants considered it a holy fragrance. Modern estimates suggest that during major festivals, hundreds of people were flayed alive in a single day across the Aztec Empire. Ritual 6. Celtic Druids and Human Sacrifice in Bogs. For centuries, perfectly preserved bodies have been discovered in the peat bogs of northern Europe. These bog bodies tell the story of one of the most mysterious ancient rituals we know of. The Celts and Germanic tribes practiced ritual human sacrifice in sacred bogs. But these weren't random killings. They were elaborate ceremonies with specific rules. Take Tollen Man, discovered in Denmark in 1950. His body was so well preserved that archaeologists initially thought he was a recent murder victim. But radiocarbon dating revealed he died over 2,000 years ago. The rope was still around his neck. Analysis of bog bodies reveals a disturbing pattern. Most were killed in multiple ways. They might be strangled, have their throats cut, and be struck in the head. This triple death was likely meant to ensure the sacrifice reached the gods. But here's the strangest part. These weren't enemy captives or criminals. Many bog bodies show evidence of manicured nails and well-fed bodies, suggesting they were high-status individuals who volunteered for sacrifice. Some researchers believe these people were chosen during times of crisis, failed harvests, military defeats, or natural disasters. The community would select someone important to offer to the gods in exchange for divine intervention. The bogs preserved not just their bodies, but their last meals. Analysis shows that many ate a special porridge made from dozens of different seeds and grains, a ritual meal prepared specifically for their journey to the afterlife. Over 1,000 bog bodies have been discovered so far, and each one tells the same story. Someone walked willingly into a bog, knowing they would never return. Ritual 7. Ancient Egyptian Mummification of Animals. You know about human mummification, But did you know that ancient Egyptians mummified over 70 million animals? This wasn't just about preserving beloved pets. Egyptians believed that animals were sacred messengers of the gods, and mummifying them would ensure divine protection. But the scale was industrial. At Saqqara, archaeologists discovered catacombs containing millions of mummified ibis birds, all individually wrapped and placed in jars. In one site alone, they found over 4 million mummified ibis and 500,000 mummified falcons. The process was identical to human mummification, complete with natron salt, wrapping, and expensive oils. Some animal mummies were more elaborately prepared than human ones. Here's where it gets weird. Egyptians would kill perfectly healthy animals specifically for mummification. Temple priests ran what were essentially animal mummy factories. Pilgrims would purchase a freshly killed and mummified animal to offer to the gods. But modern X-ray analysis has revealed a dark secret. Many animal mummies contain no animal at all. Some contain just sticks, stones, or random bones. Temple priests were running ancient scams, selling fake mummies to unsuspecting pilgrims. Imagine paying premium prices for a sacred cat mummy, only to find out it's just rocks wrapped in bandages. These 7 rituals show us just how different ancient peoples were from us, and yet, how similar. They were trying to solve the same problems we face today: sickness, death, uncertainty about the future. Their solutions might seem bizarre to us, but to them, these were logical responses to life's greatest mysteries. Makes you wonder what future civilizations will think about our modern practices. Will they find our medical procedures just as disturbing? Our funeral practices just as strange? What do you think? Let me know in the comments which of these rituals shocked you the most. And if you enjoyed this deep dive into history's darkest corners, make sure to subscribe for more content that explores the weird and wonderful world of human civilization.